Hello and welcome everyone to this online chat with ShipStation and BigCommerce on how to attain shipping nirvana for your e-commerce business. We'll get started in just a minute as we allow some folks to join and get settled. I think I can't remember if it was Matt or Chris who suggested I fill up a minute or two with dad jokes, but I come up empty there. I even used Chat GPT to see if they can come up with any e-commerce or shipping related dad jokes. And we have a ways to go with AI and dad jokes. Let's put it that way. But we'll get started in just a few minutes. We'll let everyone settle in. I see some folks are still joining. So we'll get started in just a minute. All right, looks like we're at about 2 minutes after the hour, so I think we're good to go. So again, hello and welcome to this online chat with ShipStation and BigCommerce on how to attain shipping nirvana. My name is Mark Van Bree, and I am the Global Director of Partner Marketing here at ShipStation. I'll be your host. I will try to keep things running smoothly, navigating behind the scenes, and but we're really truly excited to have our friends at BigCommerce join us here at this event. I appreciate their time and to share their expertise here for everyone. Before we get into the actual presentation, wanted to do a couple of housekeeping notes just as host and moderator before we get going. And I introduced the panelists. Just wanted to let everyone know that all attendees are muted, but you will have an opportunity to ask questions at any time during the chat. So you don't have to wait for the end of the presentation for Q&A time. Feel free to submit your questions at any time in the Q&A panel. There's a little screenshot here on the screen that shows you where to find that Q&A panel. We've had some questions coming in from the registration page already, so we'll tackle as many as we can during the Q&A section at the end. If you have any technical webinar questions about audio or anything else, we'll do our best to answer those directly in the Q&A as well. Lastly, this webinar will be recorded and we'll email you when it's available for viewing after the webinar. So what are we talking about today? We're going to start with choosing the right e-commerce platforms and building a future-proof scalable solution. And then we'll cover a few basics on choosing your shipping options and head into optimizing and making the most of your shipping strategy to achieve that shipping nirvana. Then we'll end with some open Q&A where we'll answer your questions. So with that, let's meet our speakers for today. We are very thrilled to welcome our guest from BigCommerce, Matt Crawford. Matt is General Manager for Shipping and Senior Director of Strategic Business Development at BigCommerce. He's a seasoned e-commerce leader, and he'll bring valuable insights here into platforms and shipping. We're excited to have him here. From the ShipStation side, we have Chris Vaughn, Vice President for e-commerce products at Octane, our parent company here at ShipStation. Chris has more than 15 years in marketing and product and brings a wealth of shipping knowledge as well. So we're excited to dive into shipping nirvana here. So welcome, Matt and Chris. Without further ado, really, I'll hand it over to Matt, and he'll first cover choosing the right platform. So Matt, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Mark. As I look at these pictures, I say, I wonder who looks a little bit more out of character, either me with my suit talking ops and warehousing, or Chris with his stoic face instead of smiling. But look, I'm super excited to be here. My background is in ops and supply chain. And if I think about my past experience, we would build custom solutions for merchants to either run their warehouse, to even their e-commerce site, or a TMS that we built in Microsoft Access a long, long time ago. And my favorite part about the e-commerce world is the things that were available for a merchant only of a certain size 10 years ago are now available with a $10 a month subscription like ShipStation. And so I like the coming down market of some of the best practices and capabilities that merchants have always had at the big end of town. And now that more of small, medium merchants now have access to that. So when we think about e-commerce, like I said before, I started by being a supply chain consultant. So I built warehouses, I've picked and packed boxes, I've helped merchants improve operations And now at BigCommerce, my role is to help merchants link their e-commerce and fulfillment together. And so my team spends all day talking to merchants around how do they improve their business. And as it relates to shipping, oftentimes, Mark, jumps to the next slide, the folks that are in the warehouse or the operations folks, generally speaking, are the downstream customer of e-commerce. So I'm going to talk today to both the ops side of the house as well as the marketers. So hopefully you can follow along on both sides. But most brands will re-platform every 3 to 5 years. And so if you haven't re-platformed in a while, I thought I'd start with what is modern e-commerce, or what does the e-commerce landscape look like today? And it starts with flexibility to do things, to run your business the way you want. It helps you sell globally or sell on channels, depending on where your shoppers are at. It enables you to spend more time on the marketing, on the demand creation, and less on technical development. And it should include proprietary solutions. It shouldn't include penalties for using your favorite payment provider. It should be essentially pick and choose the best of breed stack that allows you to run your business your way. Mark, let's hop to the next slide. So how do you know it's time to switch platforms? At the highest level, I look at, is your platform hindering you? Is it stopping you from growing? Is it stopping you for selling into certain regions? I can't tell you how many times I talk to a brand, and when I talk about selling internationally, for example, they tell me their e-commerce platform doesn't let them do that for some reason. They can't sell on omnichannel the way they want to because their e-commerce platform doesn't allow them. If your team is saying that, if you're selling out of items that you shouldn't be selling, if your customers are expecting things tomorrow that you can't fulfill, that's a clear linkage that something's wrong on the platform side. Second, when you want to integrate something new, you want to bring a new capability to market, how much reliance do you have on third-party developers or maintenance staff? Historically, if you had something on-prem, you had to pay someone a lot of money to build or add new functionality. Today, those pre-built connections should be into your favorite e-commerce platform, and it should be easy to set up. And so the next one is any type of maintenance or developer reliance. Finally, are you not able to deliver the experience you want for your shoppers? From a shipping perspective, can you offer different shipping options? Can you offer a date and time delivery and checkout? Can you tell your shoppers if they want to ship on terms, they can? If you're shipping LTL, can you do that? Generally speaking, though, I think when we look at a customer experience, fulfillment's oftentimes something that people forget about when they pick their platform. But for all of you fulfillment folks or ops folks on the phone, you realize how important ops are to getting the customer the product when they want it in the way they expect, which keeps them coming back. And if your platform doesn't do any of these, I'd say it's a clear sign it's time to switch. All right, so you've switched. If we jump to the next slide, Mark, if now you've switched and you're into the alphabet soup, I'll call it, of the different solutions that can help make your operations better, whether it be the order management systems, the inventory management systems, the warehouse management systems, the 3PLs, the ERPs. Makes me nauseous just saying all those. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how many years ago these were independent pillars. You had an OMS that did this; it just did order routing. You had inventory management systems that just told you how much stock you had left and when you're going to sell out. You had your WMS or your shipping app that just did labels. Now that those lines aren't clear anymore, you might have an order management system that also has basic labels. You have warehouse management that also does basic inventory. You have an ERP that's great at certain things, but maybe not shipping. So how do you know what you need? I can't tell you how many times a merchant comes to me and says, Matt, I need an IMS. And I say, why do you need an inventory management system? And they say, well, I ran out of stock today. And you start to dissect why they think they need an inventory management system. And the answer is they have a very, very niche need, but they don't know how that problem fits into the overall tech stack. So I'd say if you're starting to consider these types of solutions that are pre-built into your e-commerce platform, I'd say start with two, I don't know, call it exercises or thought experiments. One, what's the life of an order digitally? When it comes in from the e-commerce site, what system does it touch from e-commerce, maybe inventory, maybe financials, maybe warehousing, maybe shipping? What systems does it touch? And then finally, what's the physical flow of an order? And I encourage you to just go to the warehouse and watch, right? Who prints a pick ticket? What happens with the pick ticket? How do expedited shipments happen? How do you know what goes to a drop shipper versus a 3PL? There's lots of complexity that most businesses don't think about when it touches the back of the house. So if you can't describe what's happening, most likely your systems aren't even going to talk to each other properly to make your business run as efficiently as possible. So start with the life of the order, both digitally and physically, and then you can start to define what your requirements are across these different tools. If I think of ShipStation at the beginning, when I started working with them, it was primarily labels. But if I look at ShipStation now, there's some basic order management capabilities. You can now auto split orders, for example. There's basic inventory capabilities. So you're not overselling items. You can route orders from your own warehouse to a 3PL or to a drop shipper. Got lots of brands that use ShipStation in multiple locations. So you might not even need different solutions if you're leveraging the full power of ShipStation today. My personal favorite is just the quick, easy way to route certain orders to certain 3PLs as I fulfill on an omni-channel basis on my own site. All right, so that's some context. Now, you're ready to make a switch. What do you do? What is future? How do you make sure you pick the right thing so you don't have to re-platform next year? Jump ahead, Mark, to 2 slides. I'm going to talk about a future-proof vision. Tempted to say, all right, BigCommerce has these 5 features, and Wix has these 6, and SAP or Oracle has these, and Magento has these. But I think when you're looking for growth, I'd say there's 5 key things when you're looking for the next tech stack, there's 5 key things to look for. 1, how do you engage with your shoppers? If you're on the marketing side, you might think of things like headless, meaning can you use a different content management system to give a better experience to your shoppers? You might think about how do you code your site? Is there a WYSIWYG editor? Is there an easy way for you to tweak certain things on your storefront without needing to pay a developer? All right, so that's your engaging. Now, how do you attract? Omnichannel is way more relevant today. Our shoppers are in many more places. Most of my brands are selling not just on their own website anymore, but they're selling on a Facebook, a TikTok, a Pinterest, Snap, whatever they are. And your e-com platform should be able to push products, optimize the feeds that are going to those channels, make sure your ads on those channels are performing, whether that be Google or the social channels. And ultimately, you want to be where your shoppers are, either from an ads or just a listings and a selling perspective. Now, you've got the shoppers on your site. How do you increase conversion rates? First one, Chris and I were talking about beforehand. What does your shipping rates look like in checkout, and how do they link to the back office processes? Sometimes I look at merchant site and I cringe and I see they've got like 14 ship options. Do you want UPS ground? Do you want FedEx ground? Do you want USPS priority mail? Do you want first class? But I don't know as the shopper, when's it actually going to get to me? So I always think of the best practices, tell the shoppers when they can get it. Do you want it tomorrow? Do you want it in 3 days? Do you want it in 5 days? And then on the back end, you should be able to optimize which carriers you pick to be able to meet those needs at the lowest cost. Related, can you display fully landed costs? Can you ship DDU or DDP? Does your platform offer all the payment options you're interested in? Not just Apple Pay, not just Shop Pay or Google Pay, right? But does your platform offer any payment processor you want to run your business the way you want, whether that be pay on terms for B2B, whether it be use PayPal. But your platform should be able to allow you to do the things to increase conversion rate. Put a little plug in for BigCommerce. If you haven't seen it, our research that we put out via some third parties indicated BigCommerce has the highest converting checkout in the industry. You spend a ton of money to get shoppers to your site. Why not work with a platform that makes it easier and faster and better to convert? We've got lots of data to support that. All right, finally, or I guess one more on the marketing side, expanding your reach. I look at my business today. We started as a B2C business, and over time, we realized businesses buy our tools more than anyone else. So now on a single backend of BigCommerce, you can have a merchandise site to a B2B buyer or a B2C. If you're selling internationally, can you have a different merchandise site to a shopper in the UK with different prices, different models, different descriptions, let's say, than in the US? Can you do things like BOPIS or buy online, pick up in store? Can you sell globally? All those things your platform should have built out of the box, easy for you to deploy. And finally, TCO or total cost of ownership. We have brands that are selling millions of items an hour through flash sales. That may or may not be exactly like your business, but Does your website time out with too much traffic? Does your website struggle to handle the amount of API calls you're making on the back end? Do you need a dev team? Can your catalog scale with as many products or variants or options? Can you sell in different can you sell with different drop shippers, let's say, if you want to expand your catalog? All those are things around TCO outside of just the ongoing maintenance or PCI compliance that you might have to deal with. That if you're thinking of replatforming, TCO should be a primary driver in what you do. So future-proof solutions should allow you to engage with shoppers, attract new shoppers, industry-leading conversion rates, expanding your reach at a low cost. If anyone's interested in talking more about e-commerce, you can find me on the Shipping Nirvana webinar, or find me on LinkedIn. Chris, I think over to you now. Actually, case studies, don't take word for it. There's awesome brands you might know. We put some stats up if you don't believe what I said today, if you don't believe what Chris can say about BigCommerce and all the great things. We've got some great brands here on our site too. You can see more detail in case studies. But generally speaking, when brands come to BigCommerce, they see increase in sales, reduction in dev cost, more configurability, and ultimately they spend more time marketing and more time running their business than managing the back end of their site. All right, now Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you teeing up kind of the transformation from being oriented around the shipment to being more oriented around the order. So, ShipStation has been around for over 10 years and was born out of the need to support wherever you sell and however you ship. And over those years, we've done a ton of work into making it really easy to create automation around the shipment to reduce time spent in the software. We are acutely aware that our customers want to spend less time in their shipping software and more time on their product and marketing and sales. And we believe we have a best-in-class suite of tools to help create the right automations around those shipments as they come in from selling channels like BigCommerce. But as the needs of the customers have changed over the years, and we've watched our customers grow inside of our platform, we've continued to hear from our customers the need for more automation and management of the order. So to be more in concert with the cart, like BigCommerce, and understanding the attributes of the product and the order at the cart level, and then bringing it in and being able to manage that within ShipStation, so you can fulfill in a variety of ways while keeping your operational time down, and using the same sort of rules that you might be familiar with at the shipment level, but applying them at the order level is where we're really been focused on taking the products in the last year. So I'm excited to dive into a little bit of that. But I want to start with how you ship. So I think there's two primary facets of the value that ShipStation offers. And one is helping you make decisions around the economics of shipping. And then the second part is, once you've chosen how you want to ship, is kind of the mechanics and the automation of shipping, right? So we're going to just at a high level talk a little bit about how you might choose different shipping options, which we'll go to the next slide, and we'll dive into calculating shipping costs and what to know about shipping international, et cetera. Thinking about how a shipping rate is calculated by the carriers. The first is the weight, which has the most influence on the carrier that you're going to choose, because the heavier the package, the more the shipping cost. Second most important is the dimensions of the product. So we have what we call dim weight, which is a pricing system that raises the shipping cost for oversized parcels. So think about something large and lightweight, like a hula hoop, for example. And then there's cubic weight, which is a different pricing system that decreases the cost of shipping small, heavier packages. And then finally, there's destination and expected delivery. So when does the customer need it, and where is that customer located? All things that factor into shipping costs. And what carriers use is a zone system. And there are 9 zones, with 1 being the nearest zone and 9 being the furthest, depending on where you're shipping from. And they use that zone system to create a pricing grid to help generate that label cost. And then finally, in some scenarios, there are surcharges that can be applied at the end of the month if you have an account with the carrier, and these account for things like remote delivery and fuel surcharges, etc. On to the next one, Mark. Thanks. So knowing how a shipping cost is calculated by the carrier gets into, I think, what's right for you, right? There's an extensive range of delivery options that can be costly, and then you might be having to weigh the cost of shipping versus the needs of the customer. And what ShipStation can help you do is understand the right services that both meet your needs from a cost perspective, as well as the needs of the customer and the delivery expectation. So the right carrier can vary on a bunch of different factors. So for example, if you have a 3-day delivery expectation with the customer, there are specific services which can guarantee you a 3-day delivery. And there's others where the 3-day delivery might be available via like a USPS Ground Advantage, as long as within a certain zone, right? So they might have a 2 to 6 day delivery expectation, but if it's close enough, they can do a 2 to 3 day estimate, but if it's longer, it's going to be a 6 day. If the customer is choosing a faster delivery, and usually they're going to pay for that shipping option, we of course offer the second day services. Usually this involves a plane getting involved, depending on where you're shipping from, which is something that can increase the overall shipping costs. So you hear ground versus air services, right? The post office, for example, really effective delivering ground packages because there's post offices everywhere. They just have an awesome network for delivering ground, right? But even the post office has to include planes at a certain point if they're guaranteeing a 2 or 3 day service. Priority mail, for example, which ships all over the country with the 2 to 3 day delivery promise, might involve a plane, which increases the cost of the label, but again, might be important for your customer based on expectation. And then finally, understanding the different services that are available to you via the weight of the package, again, using these ground services. And then ShipStation, super fortunate to have a long-standing relationship with Postal and UPS that allows us to offer heavily discounted labels in all of these scenarios, sometimes up to half of the label cost of what you would get walking into a retail store with a competitive solution online. And this is just due to the history of our relationship and the volume that goes through our systems. We're able to negotiate those better rates for our customers. We'll get into international a little bit on the next slide, I think, Mark. What we hear a lot in talking to customers as a blocker for international shipping is just an issue of understanding, right, and what's required. Oftentimes we'll see customers as they grow and scale, that they'll identify markets in which their products have good fit, or they feel there's a lot of customers, but it's a little bit daunting to start to think about everything that's required from a logistics standpoint as you begin to ship internationally, right? So there's a suite of tools that ShipStation offers to make this a little bit easier and take some of the pain away from the customer, right, when shipping internationally. For example, making sure that we can verify that address outside of the US. Custom declarations serve as the means for the officials to identify the goods and ensure the compliance with regulations and taxation and all of that boring stuff, some things that ShipStation helps with. And then, of course, the duties and taxes. This is a tax levied on the end of the end customer for importing the items. Is kind of similar to like a domestic sales tax, for example. They're typically paid by the end consumer, but some carriers do offer a delivery duty paid option for the senders as well, to alleviate some of those costs for the end buyer. Something we'll get into actually with our global post service. Again, and then finally, customs forms. So ShipStation can automatically generate these forms by pulling the item descriptions, which is super helpful when shipping to Europe, for example, where there's a lot of governance around this. We can go to the next one, Mark. Thanks. So where can you access those discounted rates within ShipStation? Again, we have long-standing relationships with the domestic major carriers like USPS and UPS, where we offer up to 80% off. USPS ships everything from letters to large parcels and delivers virtually to every address globally. I believe they support over 200 countries now. Our advantage is that we offer those substantial discounts, and merchants with an active ShipStation account can receive those commercial rates rather than the more unfavorable retail prices. UPS, of course, provides also international and domestic services, has a reputation for really strong reliability and delivery, and oftentimes very competitive with postal as the packages get heavier and get into further zones, as they can utilize their really extensive plane network and air network, right? And then DHL, of course, which is a leader in international shipping. So we support both DHL Express and DHL e-commerce for customers that need that for their domestic or international needs. And then finally, I want to touch a little bit on Global Post to tie back to international shipping. Global Post is ShipStation's own asset-light international shipping carrier. So no planes or trains, but we leverage our relationships with carriers, first and last mile partners, to create and offer really cost-effective international shipping rates to our customers, especially the ones that are a little bit higher volume, where we can consolidate those shipments into a truck and get them on a plane and get them overseas. Another added benefit of that is that we take care of that prepaid duties and taxes for you at the time of the label purchase. So it's just a step that you don't have to worry about. And then finally, Parcel Guard is our own in-house insurance option. So we offer up to $10,000 in coverage. So if you have the high value or more valuable products that you'd like a little bit of extra insurance on, ShipStation via Parcel Guard offers heavily discounted insurance prices versus what you'll see from the carriers in market to get you that additional coverage, which, as you see here, can be up to 67% savings versus carrier insurance pricing. So this kind of covers the gamut of your carrier options, how to think about label costs, how to make the right decisions for your business. I think the big takeaway here, and a lot of the details of thinking about the value of the cost of a label, is that ShipStation just supports your domestic and international shipping needs. Rather, if cost is the most important factor to you, if reliability and deliverability is the most important factor to you, ensuring packages is the most important factor, delivering on the expectation of the customer is the most, et cetera, right? We're going to be able to help you find the right label and then create true automation around those products within ShipStation, so you don't have to do it on a manual basis. Which gets into, I think, what's really the fun part, and what we've been thinking about really for the last couple of years, based on the feedback of our customers, and especially our enterprise and warehouse customers that, again, have that deeper need for order automation and control of the order as it comes in via the cart and BigCommerce into ShipStation, and getting it out the door as quickly as possible. So basically, once you've decided on your shipping cost, how can you put ShipStation to work is the right way to think about it, right? And we'll start with, I think, at kind of the core and the heart of ShipStation, which is on the next slide, Mark, shipment automation, right? So something that ShipStation is focused on and been really great at, again, for the past decade, is almost unlimited flexibility and automation around the shipment itself. So it comes in the door. What does it weigh? What is the size of it? When does the customer need it? Where is it going to? Where does it need to be shipped from? All of these things can be impacted and affected by really simple to create automation rules, right? So if you find yourself repeating actions as a new ShipStation customer over and over and over again, voila. In the settings, there's a place called automation rules, where you can say for anything under £1 going here, always use this service. Or for anything being delivered to this zip code, always ship from this location if you're shipping from multiple locations, right? And then as you grow, you're going to be able to need to make these decisions in bulk or quickly. That's where batches is one of our most used features for enterprise merchants, right? Which is just grouping your orders together to print out multiple labels at once. And ShipStation supports creating up to 500 labels at a time. And this can be done in a matter of seconds. So getting into more order automation, I think, and some of new features, I mean, new as in this month new, that we're really excited about. The first is bundles. Bundles is our most requested feature for sure over the last couple of years from customers. So new in August, bundles makes it easier than ever to offer bundle deals and discounts. Being able to offer flexible packaging of products is a crucial piece to most e-commerce business workflows. Without it, merchants don't have clear visibility to the numbers of kits and bundles they have available for their selling channels, which can create a whole bunch of inventory and stock issues, right? In addition, manually tracking inventory down at the component level becomes super tedious and puts the merchant at risk for missing sales opportunities. What bundles unlocks is the ability to increase the average order value and drive more sales through managing these bundles at the order level within ShipStation. Plus the automation of putting the bundle items into a shipment saves a ton of time and hassle and fulfillment. And then additionally also launched this month, super highly requested. I think I saw a question come in related to this already, which is now the ability to split and create new shipments based on the products included in an order, which is auto splitting, right? So for orders that are large, have multiple heavy items, contain unique products, shipping a single package is just more expensive and frankly untenable for customers. Spending time how to decide how to ship the order items can cause a ton of delays. It can create errors, resulting in merchants overinvesting a ton of time and money within ShipStation managing those orders. Our new split ship workflow makes splitting more efficient by moving the order items into their own shipments in half as many clicks. So really unlocks a crucial component of order management for our larger sellers. Yeah, and then I think thinking about getting into the warehouse, and Matt referenced this, right? Like, what do you see when you're walking around a warehouse, and efficiencies, inefficiencies, right? And the ShipStation features that help you reduce errors and improve efficiency within a warehouse. We offer many features and tools to accommodate these various workflows, including the dynamic scan-based actions using scanners to ensure, an efficient, consolidated operation at a fair price. So first worth talking about, I think, is Scan to Verify, which just is the preventing the generation of a shipping label until that UPC or the SKU barcodes are scanned, avoiding the duplicate or incorrect shipments without the need for paying for a standalone, very expensive program to help manage this. And then, of course, Scan to Print or View, which just makes it really easy to scan the packing slip for an order. It pulls up the order right there in ShipStation, scan a barcode, use Scan to Verify, aforementioned, to print the label, and then ship it out. So again, reducing errors, improving efficiency, all things that become more important as you have someone on the line just going shipment after shipment after shipment, order after order, right? And then last but not least, I think the thing that's most exciting that was kind of imagined internally a couple of years ago, and we've really been working on. It is in beta now for our high volume customers, and I think about it as automagical kind of shipping, right? Which is define a strategy that works for your business, and the larger you are and the more locations you have, the more complex that'll get. And we are going to continue to evolve shipping strategies to include more circumstances of the customer. But right now, shipping strategies has been launched in beta in August. And what it essentially does is automates the comparison across rates in multiple places and automatically selects the lowest rate from a collection of carrier services so that merchants can meet the delivery promise, right? So again, thinking about automation rules and the evolution of that is Where am I shipping from? What's the customer SLA or the promise that needs to be met of the delivery? And then making some carrier selection services, or saying, I'm willing to choose between UPS ground services and USPS ground services, DHL, et cetera, and then turning on a shipping strategy that truly will automatically generate, buy, print, and generate these labels for you at scale, right? So when you think about this, even the time spent in the product, looking at order details, batching, ensuring that your rules are right, what we're moving to is a world where you tell us what your shipping needs are. You tell us about the products that you have and where you're shipping from. You tell us that the carriers and the carrier products that you'd like to use to ship. You turn on a shipping strategy and it does the work for you. So it's true automation, combining the order and the shipment level to make you essentially an approver of process when you're in ShipStation, rather than the day-to-day operator of process. So again, we are starting to think about how to do this with fastest in addition to lowest cost, as well as cheapest within time frame. And these are next iterations of shipping strategies that are coming this year. But if you're a high volume customer, you can test this out with the lowest cost comparison with shipping strategies in your settings today. That wraps me up. I know it was a lot, but again, I think, to bring it all together, you've done everything you need to do to think about creating a great store, a great product, marketing the right way, future-proofing it, I think, as Matt talked about, making sure that you're using the right systems and understand the features within those systems to meet your needs. And then what ShipStation is going to do is just tag on at the end of that process and try to save you as much time and money as you can by making sure that we understand the circumstances of your business, the circumstances of your warehouse or shipping operation, and just automating that as much as possible within, again, your circumstances and restraints, so that you can get back into big commerce and thinking about product development and sales and marketing and all the fun stuff. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Matt, for that presentation and sharing all the useful, actionable information. Really appreciated the time and effort here. I think there were some great nuggets there. I'd like to highlight a couple of things to all attendees where you can find some of today's resources. So a lot of what we talked about today you can find in the Shipping Nirvana ebook that we made available with our partners BigCommerce. So go to shipstation.com/blog and then guide-to-shipping-nirvana. We'll also, of course, include this link to this ebook in our follow-up email after this chat. But it's a great resource. I also encourage everyone to check out the Saddleback Leather company case study with BigCommerce. They are a mutual user who uses both of our platforms. I believe they're an enterprise user that I believe also uses Acumatica as its ERP, and they've really taken delivery to the next level. Just as their product is next level. I'm eyeing one of those leather bags myself, I have to say. So all of these links will be included in the follow-up as well, but feel free to go check it out. That brings us to the last part of this event. Last but not least, we will answer your questions. So as a reminder, you can add your questions in the Q&A panel in Zoom. We still have room for more questions. If we don't have time for specific questions, rest assured we will get to your questions after the event as well. We will be sure to follow up with any questions you have. So I think a couple of questions that have come in previously, a couple of questions that are on the docket now. One question I saw come in from Scott is, and Chris, you might be able to talk a little bit more about this. is in-cart rates. And, of course, we have in-cart rates with BigCommerce. I think the question is really, where's that going? Where are in-cart rates going? What's available today for displaying rates at checkout?
Yeah, of course. It's a great question. The answer is yes, I guess. To Mark's point, their checkout rates are available today with BigCommerce. There's, probably an evolution of the product dimensions to be supported to do it, I think, in a really powerful way and to support order planning, right? That's something we're thinking a lot about as we just think about order automation and automation in general and order management, right? So the answer is yes, in part, supporting in-cart rates for BigCommerce today. But again, there's work to do to develop the coordination and the passing through of all the product level attributes and dimensions to probably turn it into what I think Scott is referencing here with some of the third-party solutions.
Thanks, Chris. I think here's a great question, and I think Matt, you touched a little bit on multi-channel, omni-channel as well. I think the gist of the question is communication between ShipStation and BigCommerce for multi-channel orders. Talking back to BigCommerce, I know there's multiple ways to set up multi-channel through ShipStation or through BigCommerce. But Matt, perhaps you can talk a little bit more about some of those options of communicating between BigCommerce and ShipStation on the multi-channel side.
Yeah, so I think the answer on this one's going to be it depends. And all right, I'm happy to chat with you offline, but in general, you have at the simplest level, you have two things you can do. You can have all of your orders run through BigCommerce, and then ShipStation consumes those, and ShipStation can tell which orders came from which channel. So, right, if you're saying, how do I centralize order management, you could run it all through BigCommerce, or you can run it all through ShipStation, right? If you run it all through ShipStation, ShipStation helps on the fulfillment side, but you lose you lose BigCommerce as your central source of truth for all of your orders, your order statuses, those types of things. So it typically comes down to how you got things set up. But we have lots of merchants that run all their omni-channel through BigCommerce into ShipStation. It works very, very nicely there. So I think we should probably just go through your specific use case, and happy to do that with you. Hopefully that's an okay answer.
Yes, I remember graduate school. That was always a very acceptable answer, right? It depends.
So again, I do this at my store. I started with ShipStation when I was on. My store used to be on Wix, and it came to BigCommerce. And we used to run it all through ShipStation. Now we run it all through BigCommerce. So I've lived both sides of it. It just depends on what you're doing.
Exactly. I think it ties in nicely to the ShipStation tagline in that sense too, right? Wherever you sell, however you ship, really, it making that possible for whatever scenario. Let's see, we have a couple of more questions coming in. How long does it take to get ShipStation connected to a BigCommerce account? What about all of my other tools I already use? Maybe either Chris or Matt, I guess. Chris, maybe your turn.
Moments, right? Or a matter of seconds, right? So connecting your ShipStation to your BigCommerce account is a very seamless experience as long as you have those account credentials or you're already logged in, right? So you connect ShipStation to BigCommerce, and within moments, you're going to see your orders available in the orders grid within ShipStation.
That's great.
And then I think connecting to everywhere else, I don't know if that's more of a ShipStation question, but yeah, I mean, again, I didn't touch on it in this webinar, but or this chat, but the ShipStation has an incredibly long tail of integration partners via whether it be carts or marketplaces or e-commerce platforms or ERPs or inventory management and order management systems. So you can check it out. I think it's ShipStation.com/partners are on the page, but we make it really easy to connect and integrate with any of those supporting operating systems and tools that you use. And would be surprised if there are ones that you're using that ShipStation doesn't integrate with, but please reach out to me if there is one that is on your wish list. And if Mark or anyone, if I don't know if I can send to the whole chat, but if you just put my email in chat for any questions that I don't get, it's just chris.vaughn@octane.com. I will make sure I get them answered to the best of my ability, or someone on the team who can give you the best answer, including integration wish list requests.
That's great. Thank you, Chris. I think here's a question that came up as well. What is the best way to calculate shipping rates? Our cart often overcharges bulk orders. How do we avoid this? I think that goes into kind of there was another question about how do we cut down on errors as well. And Chris, I know you touched on that with like scan to print, scan to verify, address validation, what goes into shipping calculations. Talk a little bit more about that. What how to avoid errors or overcharging.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where shipping strategies is going to be super powerful, right? To guarantee the lowest cost, because it's going to compare across those carrier services to make sure that it's picking the lowest cost. Outside of that, the new ShipStation Order Details does a great job of helping you browse different carrier rates. Also, via the little calculator icon, which I really want to change or make bigger, you can pull up a side-by-side rate browser at the order level to understand that, make sure that you're picking the correct carrier service or carrier product based on delivery weight, dimensions, and all of those things. So there's kind of a few ways to tackle it. Again, depending on the wallet services or the carrier services that you're using or having connected, it's either via something like a shipping strategies at really high volumes versus automation rules, right? Depending on the attributes of the product and the details of the shipment, all the way to at the order level, clicking and comparing, what's this hard to say? Comparing rates for that order.
Fantastic. I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. I think here's one that came up. What sets the BigCommerce and ShipStation partnership apart from other label printing solutions? So there's many solutions out there. What's Matt? Maybe you can talk about this. What sets it apart with BigCommerce and ShipStation?
So we have almost 10,000 joint customers using both our solutions. So when I think about that, there's strong alignment between the customers that we service and the customers that ShipStation is best in class at servicing. When merchants come to me and ask for help, generally speaking, I say three things. One, the ability to save money on shipping. So using the carrier rates. And I think I saw a question, you don't necessarily need to know, you don't need to have your own UPS account to use the carrier rates. Just select the UPS account through ShipStation, so you can sign up for those. So super easy to get access to discounted rates. Two, the ability to use any carrier is differentiated in ShipStation. I find there's so many options, like Sendle is an example I started to use recently, where they do a great job of offering a cheaper 2-day service or a 2 or 3 day service. So more carriers. Two, the ability to automate things using automation rules in ShipStation makes it really, really easy to run your business. I know for me, I couldn't print 50 labels a day using other software as easy as I've tried with ShipStation. And I work with all the label printing partners. So I think the automation rules in ShipStation make it super easy to print labels every day. I don't think I need a print automatically, because I can run all my automation rules and everything prints out bulk in one or at once. And then the third is, I just like having a team when merchants have issues around the integration, around quality, around service, that I know the ShipStation team is going to get shit done, right? It just works well. And if it doesn't, like things screw up, we find a way to make customers happy. Those are the three: carrier rate cards, automation rules to run the business, and three great support between both of our teams.
That's great. Thank you. I think you touched on this, Matt, already. A question from Heidi. Do I need an account with the carriers if I ship with your integration? I currently have an account, but I think the questioner wanted to take advantage of the discounted rates. Chris, you touched on kind of the discounted rates. Maybe talk a little bit about how to enable that, how easy it is to get started with that.
Yeah, short answer is, of course, you're free to bring in your own carrier accounts. Most of our customers do, especially the high volume ones that are going to be new to ShipStation will oftentimes have their own negotiated accounts with carriers. Very common, right? I would certainly also encourage you to, when setting up ShipStation, to enable what we call it One Balance, or the ShipStation wallet, so that you can compare perhaps like your negotiated rates versus ShipStation's own rates, which are free to do. But of course, if you're trying to stay in a single carrier environment or happy with your rates, you can use ShipStation and its features the same way with your own carrier account as you would with our own rates. There were a couple questions about billing, Mark, and I think they're important. The short answer to, and this is another one I'm happy to maybe get in more detail or planning around offline, but aware of the work to do, I think, on the billing side. The audit one, something that we hear often, right? Regularly being able to compare billing and shipping for fraud detection between your selling channel and your shipping software. These are things we're actively working on, trying to make this a better experience for our customers. Obviously, billing and audits and things like that, transaction level detail, get really complex, and there's a lot of work to do, and doing our best for the customers right now, but a lot of work going into that and a lot of energy. So I wanted to alleviate any concerns around some of those. It is something we're working on, and I'm happy to dig in a little bit more around expectations or specific problems via email if you'd like to.
Great, thank you for answering those. I think that's all the time we have for questions today. If there are any other questions that have popped up, or any questions that we may have missed, we will follow up with you. I think Chris had mentioned his email as well. Both Chris and Matt are fantastic guys that enjoy, I don't think I'm putting words in their mouth, but I think they enjoy spending time with merchants to learn more about their shipping. So we will get all information out to all attendees here with links and the recording, and feel free to reach out to us with any further questions. And if we didn't get to your question, be rest assured that we will reach out to get you an answer. But thank you, Chris. Thank you, Matt, for participating. This was a great session. Loved the feedback, loved the questions that we've gotten. And yeah, I think we'll leave it at that, and appreciate all the time from everyone here on the call as well. So thanks, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.